Welcome back, everyone. So now that you have written your proposition and your thesis and your preview, we are ready to get into building our body of the speech. And so the first main point, although it says attention, is actually going to be your need main point. So your attention getting step is going to be the introduction. We're going to discuss that a little bit more in the next module. But for now, we're going to talk a little bit about creating your need step. And this is specifically on that need step of Monroe's motivated sequence. This is where you are going to build your urgency. So why is there such a need for us, in fact, to do something? So, our goal is simply not to say that a problem exists, but in fact, to convince the audience that the problem matters and that the change is very necessary. So, throughout this lesson, I'm going to be using the same example of the Meatless Mondays as a model example so that you can see how each of these parts are going to pull together. So let's look first at the purpose of the need step. First, it's to convince the audience that a real problem exists. I've said this many times before, but the first step in a persuasive speech or policy where you're trying to urge the audience to do something is to convince them that something is wrong. Nobody is going to get up off their butt and do something unless they realize, like, oh gosh, this problem is serious. And oh, this exists, or oh, I need to do something about that, right? So this purpose is to convince the audience that a real problem, in fact, does exist. You'll then demonstrate and show why that problem matters. You'll explain why the change is necessary, and you'll eventually come to a conclusion of this main point where the audience will say, oh my gosh, this is a problem. I need to do something about this. And they'll be ready to go on to the next main point and accept your solution. So remember that this isn't just about describing a problem, but it's actually about argumentation. So you're building a very logical case for why your audience should, in fact, care. And a strong need step is going to make the audience, we'll say, uncomfortable enough with the current situation or whatever the status quo is, that they become open to hearing about the possibility of your solution and accepting that particular policy. So, moving forward, there is a specific formula, and we will be going over a formula for all of your main points. But keeping in mind, this formula is going to give us a repeatable structure that we could use for nearly any persuasive topic. So especially when it comes to a proposition of policy and urging our audience to do something. So we first will identify our problem or assert what is wrong, right? What's wrong? Then we will provide us with some evidence to make sense of that, and then provide us with some reasoning. So if you don't remember what like claim evidence reasoning is, you can always go back to the first persuasive module where it talks a bit about Monroe's motivated sequence as well as Toulmin's structure of argument. So these specific steps that you will be going through, right? We'll do the problem, we'll do the evidence, we'll do the reasoning. Then we'll talk a little bit about the cause. Why does this issue exist? And then show our audience exactly how that impacts them and why they should care. And then we'll move into that transition statement. So ultimately, right? The idea like, well, what's going on? What's wrong? Okay, so you tell me what's wrong. And then I'm like, well, how do you know that's wrong? And then you provide me with evidence. You're like, oh, okay. And you're like, yeah, but why does that matter? And then you're like, oh my gosh, here's what the problem is with that evidence, because that's what these numbers mean. And then it says, okay, well, what happens if nothing changes? Or why should, what is the cause of this that's going on? You're like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize I was participating in this in that way. Oh, that's crazy town. And then you'll go into why should your audience care? And you tell them exactly this impacts you because. So I'm going to go through each of these steps with you, but hopefully these specific steps make sense about how the logical formula, in fact, works in terms of persuasion. So a first step here is to announce our claim. And that's what you really discovered and discussed a lot in your thesis statement. You started to assert exactly what the problem was, right? So your problem claim should be specific and it should be, in fact, focused. You should not be worrying about too many issues at once. And if I mention that in your feedback to your proposal, make sure that you're being aware of like, oh, could I narrow this down to just one specific problem in my thesis? Or could I synthesize that into one idea? So the need step works best when the audience clearly understands the one central problem or concern. So for example, right? If we were to make a claim, and I'm going back to this idea of meatless Mondays, there is a growing problem of excessive meat consumption contributing to environmental damage. I know exactly what's happening. People are increasing their meat consumption, and therefore, what? Environmental damage is happening. So notice how this example is direct, it's specific, and the speaker immediately establishes the issue and they frame it as something serious and growing, right? With this idea of damage and environmental and growing problem, all those words work to, in fact, go together. So after you make that claim, the next idea is going to be to support and explain what that problem is. So you want to tell us exactly what is happening. Why is that happening? And why does the issue or look like this in real life? What's going on that is creating this situation to appear like this in the world around us? So think of this as your teaching step. You're helping the audience to understand like how this problem works, like and how it exists, what it looks like. Not everybody is an expert like you are on this topic. So for them to understand just like the depth and breadth is for you to explain here. So this step should feel explanatory. It should feel conversational. And then what this will eventually do is it will set the context for, in fact, your evidence. So the important thing is that once you explain your problem, you must, in fact, provide us with some kind of evidence and reasoning to go along with that. Again, going back to evidence and reasoning, look back at the Toulmin example, but all that evidence is, which we know from our informative speech, is support from outside sources who are experts or individuals who have specific experience in the field, and they give their words or they give over their research that they've done, and they show exactly why and how their claims are true. And so your evidence in this case is going to be to find evidence is going to support this claim that in fact there is a problem going on, that meat consumption is destroying the environment, right? And so once we do that, we then move into our reasoning. And reasoning, all it is it's explaining exactly what your evidence means to your audience in terms of your specific policy. So if I say something like, as it says here, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization, livestock production contributes approximately 14.5 of global greenhouse gas emissions. Okay, well, why in the world does that matter here? There's a growing problem of excessive meat consumption contributing to environmental damage. Okay, great, right? And then we say, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, livestock production contributes to approximately 14.5 of greenhouse gas emissions. Ooh, interesting. Now we come up with our reasoning. So why does that matter? Why does that matter to us? So this large scale meat production 14, like however much that they are doing, it is contributing to almost 15% of the greenhouse gases in the environment. And that is contributing greatly to climate change, and it's putting a huge strain on our environment. And so because 15% is too much at this time in our life where the environment is at grave danger, we encourage you to make the choices of, in fact, going to eat meat only one time a week or limiting your meat consumption. So after you go through your evidence and reasoning, you're going to bring up the problems or the cause. And so before, when we talked a little bit about like why do these problems exist? What is going on? Why is this continuing to happen? And this explains simply why that problem continues. So you might discuss things like people's social habits or their, you know, financial systems, perhaps cultural norms, convenience, lack of awareness, any of these things would be there. So if you even think about it, right, like cultural norms, some of us are talking about, mental awareness and getting mental health help. But one of the reasons as to why people don't get it is because it is, a cultural norm. And so people continue to put off their help because culturally it is stated that they are less than or they are weaker than because they do that. So the causes is important to give your audience some understanding about why it exists in the first place. And then in fact, we will show you exactly how this ideal or these cause or these behaviors, these, attitudes, in fact, impact their actions and their behaviors. So, for example, one major cause of excessive meat consumption is the normalization of eating meat daily without considering environmental consequences. And absolutely, like, I don't know a lot of people who are thinking every day, like, oh gosh, what am I putting in my body? And how is this piece of meat that I'm eating contributing? But because meat-centered meals are viewed as normal in many cultures, especially within American society, where we build beef and meat into, our food pyramid, and the importance that we start teaching kids about it in elementary school. So people often contribute or continue to participate in these habits without recognizing the actual impact um, that they are doing to the environment or anything else. And so that's why we move into this next step, which is the audience or the consequences impact. We want to explain exactly how their behaviors every day is going to impact them. Or if somebody does not react, exactly why this is going to impact them. Now, we'll talk a little bit about these consequences later because some of them could be used in your next main point, which is the solutions, where we start to address the counter argument. But for right now, this step of your audience's impact is really where, like, okay, so why does this matter to you? How is this going to impact you? Why in the world should you care? You can explain how these problems will affect their future or their daily life or their, future family's life, however that looks. But the audience should understand why the problem matters to them directly. So, for example, your food choices directly impact environmental sustainability, meaning even small dietary changes can contribute to reducing long-term environmental health. And this example reminds the audience that individual choices collectively create larger outcomes, which is the thing that we want to, in fact, always remember. How is the audience either going to be infected or how is their behavior, if they continue it, going to continue this impact? And that's why there is a need. So, what we do after we have established that is we move to our satisfaction step. So, to move smoothly from that problem to the solution, it's important that you hint at how the problem could, in fact, be reduced or solved using your solution. I provided you with a couple special ways to do that as well within the module that you will see in the full like step-by-step breakdown of the need. But this transition is important, and you should always have a transition before each main point, right? Just it acknowledges the seriousness of the problem, and then it also starts to introduce the idea that a realistic solution, in fact, does exist. And guess what? There is hope coming. So, for example, something like, fortunately, addressing this issue does not require eliminating meat entirely, but instead making one simple and manageable change. And so, in this case, we know that this action is going to be manageable and it's going to be able to um, in fact, be done by the audience that you are addressing. So if you feel overwhelmed, return to the shortcut formula. You're going to establish that there's a problem and provide evidence for us to understand that it's a problem. And the reasoning simply shows us how this is not getting any better and we need to do something about it. Then we're going to describe the cause. What caused this in the first place? And in fact, how is that going to impact our audience? If you continue to behave like this will continue to go forward. And then we give a transition. So the need step is really about answering a series of logical questions that are going to guide your audience toward accepting change. Mind you, we have not yet mentioned that there is a solution in hand until we get to the transition. So remember that right now you're just establishing what's the problem, proving it exists. Why does that matter? What's going to be the impact on your audience? And then moving forward to showing how your solution is the cure for it all. Hope that makes a little sense. Enjoy and remember that there is a full structure of a step-by-step walkthrough for each of the parts of this needs step for your speech within the modules on Canvas. See you soon.